what triggered you to start, or what did you always have acne?
I have always had acne since I was in high school.
Okay.
Um, and then it started on my face. So when I was in college, it was um, like like everywhere here,
Uh-huh.
and then it expanded to my back
Oh,
when I was
wow.
in when I was in college. When I was in high school, I didn't have any acne on my back, but in
Yeah.
college, it started to spread. And my derm at that time said, "Oh, that's very normal. It starts here and it just like
Yeah.
goes elsewhere." And then after college, my acne on my face cleared after college, but my back knee never cleared. So I've been dealing with this since college.
Oh, wow. So probably the stress of college?
I don't know.
Huh.
I have
Huh.
no idea. So I'm in my 40s now, and I still
Mhm.
have acne issues.
Hmm. Very
Yeah, so I'm
interesting.
on Accutane.
Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. I don't have that, but I have a slew of other medical. We'll make our next session about medical conditions. um, I'm very interested because I had met you in a chat off of Korea, and then we kind
Yes.
of just went into my intro because, and then like talked about guest speaking. But I actually don't know as much about you, so I'm curious to know now too because I have a couple like hints of like what your background is, but what is your elevator pitch now? Now that you're in this new chapter of your life.
So I am having some kind of identity crisis right now as we speak. So my elevator pitch is all over the place. But if you had asked me this exact question maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I would say I'm a PM coach and I primarily coach product thinkers on product thinking, storytelling, and mindset.
Mm.
That was my pitch as of a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Okay, and what happened?
I don't know what happened. Yeah, good question.
It's
Um,
only been two
what?
weeks.
Yeah, so you caught me at a very interesting time. What happened is, and this gets into my personal belief in the metaphysical area of life, and metaphysical area is the like spiritual stuff and what I believe in. So I consider myself a very spiritual person. And I believe in laws of attraction and manifestation. And I also believe in our energy, what we put into the world gets reflected back to us.
Mm.
And so that means if the world is not what I like, or if it means if the world that I see, which is different from the world that you see, but I'm just
Mhm.
focusing on my reality, if I don't like it, it means I am not giving it the correct energy, therefore it's not
Mm.
reflecting back to me. So that's my personal belief, and that is my universal law. Okay, so that means everything that I do, either for myself or with my mentees, I focus a lot on inner work. Inner work has to do with, do you know your limiting beliefs? And actually, just about also 2 weeks ago, people kept on asking me what I mean by limiting beliefs. And I thought that everyone knew what I meant. I thought it was a very common phrase. But then people started to ask me. And these questions were asked by people who I thought would get it. But then turns out they don't know what I mean. So basically, limiting beliefs are stories that we tell ourselves that may or may not be true, that are limiting our potential. So these are things like, so when I was working in big tech companies, I was making tech salary, which is high. And my dad would say to me, like, how can you make so much money? Or like, how can these companies pay you so much? Like, that is my definition of one example of limiting belief. It translates to, who am I to make this amount of money? Like, who says I can make that much money, right? That's how I interpret that type of statement. And there's tons and tons of limiting beliefs that all of us face every single day. And I noticed in my coaching sessions with my mentees, half of the work is related to limiting beliefs. And I would confidently say at least half of the work is all inner work. It's not about tactics. And I've had more than 700 bookings now since I started my coaching journey. Bookings would include one-on-ones or group sessions or just conversations. I am convinced that not enough people focus enough on inner work, and that is the reason why people are not manifesting. And that is my own realization after I started my coaching journey. And because of this realization that happened a week to 2 weeks ago, I am now kind of reframing my purpose, which goes into my elevator pitch. I cannot just be a PM coach. I cannot just coach you on tactics. I can't just tell you how to present effectively in front of executives. I cannot just tell you how to study for product sense interviews. All of that will not matter if your inner work is not where it needs to be. If you have all these limiting beliefs about yourselves, there's no amount of tactic that I could teach you that will get you to where you want to be. And so now I am slowly shifting into more of a manifestation coach of some sort, in addition to being a PM coach. And I'm having identity crisis because I don't really know what to call myself at this point.
I think, I think being a PM coach and tying all that manifestation to it, I think what you said is actually very true. Like those two things have to go hand in hand. And that's also my experience too. Whenever I work with people, I notice actually nobody ever really books a call with me to ask me, hey, how can I write a better PRD? Like that's never the question. It's usually something that has to do with themselves, and they're really the challenge. If you ever read the book The Mountain Is You, I feel like that's like my number one book recommendation for anybody that's ever
Now I
crossed
have
my
to look
path.
it
And
up.
they say, what book do you recommend? I'm like, The Mountain Is You. It's usually like, not to be blanketed, but it's like the challenge is usually with them. By the way, highly recommend that book, mostly because it doesn't read like a book in that you don't have to go from end to end. You could just pick up a chapter that you like. So it's like little tiny stories and quotes that just make you think, and not all of it's going to resonate, but some of it will. And that's really helpful to know that, hey, sometimes it is you.
I'm going to share my screen to make sure I'm looking at the right book. This one?
Yes.
The Mountain Is You?
Yeah.
Transforming self-sabotage. Yes, exactly. We're so good at self-sabotaging.
Oh, yes.
I don't know why we're so good at it. I mean, I guess I do
Yeah.
know why. It's the conditioning. It's
Yeah.
the way we are raised, the way we're taught in school. And for immigrants or children of immigrants, we're taught a very specific way of life. And most of it is a lot of self-sabotage.
Yeah. Yeah. because I think especially I could talk about like the whole being raised immigrant, like my mom being an immigrant, we're taught to not take up more space than we need. So that's all you need to be. And like for me to be as outgoing as I am, my mom was like, no, you're attracting attention to you. So
Oh my gosh.
completely understand that. Yeah.
I am so triggered by these words. We deserve space. Is what I would say. Because why wouldn't we, or why can't we deserve space?
Yeah, I think also to respect a bit of history, space meant that you're going to be a target. And I think there was a lot to be said, especially because we live in North America.
Yeah.
Our ethnicity or anything other than I would say Caucasian, it wasn't always treated well over time. So a lot of them are dealing with their old traumas and
Yeah.
old beliefs. But
Yes.
as
Yes.
things change, it's hard to shake that.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. Also,
So I
as
have
women.
yes. That too. That too. I was just speaking to my uncle who's like very outwardly sexist, and I'm like, thank you, uncle. Love him to death, but very very sexist individual. I have a follow up question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What was there anything challenging, because prior to becoming a coach, you were a product leader of big tech companies, you said making a lot of salary. Was that hard for you to start to shed that identity to become
It
a coach?
was. And also because I got laid off from Roku. And it was a job that I loved so much. And I just could not believe it. It was very hard. But thankfully, the layoff happened in November, which was
Mm,
going into the holiday season. And I had trips already planned.
mhm,
So I had a trip planned in December, and I had another trip planned in January to see my family, because during COVID I didn't travel at all. So I had all the built up energy to just travel and see family. So in December I went to see my auntie in Hawaii, and in January I went to see my parents and my sister in Taiwan. So that gave me something to look forward to that was not so focused on job search and the
mhm,
layoff.
mm,
And this magical thing happened while I was in Hawaii. In Hawaii, I was on Facebook, and in one of my Facebook groups, someone was asking for an English tutor. And because my mindset at that time was about having fun and let's just take it easy and let's just chill. Because
mhm,
I've been working since 2006 nonstop. And so now it's just about taking some time off. So then I said, sure, like being an English tutor, I could help. Because I was out and about, I didn't have the desire to write a very thoughtful comment.
mhm.
So I just put the raised hand emoji, and that's it. I didn't say anything else. But there's other people that commented and said,
Yeah,
"Oh, I have this type of experience, blah blah blah." But I didn't say anything,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then the guy wrote back and said, "Oh, let's schedule an interview." And I said, "I'm traveling right now, so I can't do it right now. But how about next week? Meanwhile, here's my LinkedIn. I have a lot of working experience." So what he was looking for was English help in a professional work environment, like in corporate
Mm,
America, in a
mhm,
tech company. I was like, yeah,
mhm,
sure. I've been working in tech for more than a decade. I could definitely help you with your English. So then I came back to the Bay Area where I live now, and then I got on Zoom for this particular interview. And turns out this guy is a PM at Facebook, where I used to work, and I was at Facebook for 6 years. So I really understand that environment in and out.
Mm.
I was also a PM manager at Facebook, so I also understand the management side of things and how
Mhm.
to move from IC to people management and how to get promoted and what the leadership team thinks about in these promo discussions and the process involved. And I started with English tutoring, which turned into coaching, because this guy, he was new to working in the US and he was new to working in a large tech company. He was from a smaller company before. And so he was having cultural shock on a variety of different levels, like coming to the US. So from Taiwan to US, there's the cultural
Mhm.
differences. And then coming from a startup to a big, like a huge tech company, that's another culture shock. And how to navigate, how to communicate the way that Facebook expects you to communicate. And also, there's cultural differences. In Taiwan, people are really really polite and they don't like to trouble other people. And so when you ask people to do something, the way they ask you to do it is a very roundabout way of asking. It's almost like, can you do me this favor? When you have time, can you please look into this? But that's
Mm.
not how we communicate here,
Mhm.
especially in a environment like Facebook that moves really fast, that focuses on impact and just get the work done, kind of like fast mentality. You can't communicate that way at Facebook. So what started with English tutoring turned into PM coach, and I really enjoyed that um, experience. And then I went back to Taiwan to see my parents. And then I told this guy, maybe we could just, like stop our sessions because I'm traveling again. But when I was in Taiwan, he reached out more and more and said, oh, can we meet again? Can we meet again? And I was like, oh, this is really cool. I could travel and work at the same
Mhm.
time. I don't have to be bound to a local office. And then also, it's really fun and fulfilling for me to be
Mhm.
able to spread my knowledge.
Mhm.
And so in Taiwan, I was thinking, what would happen if I tried to get more clients? And so I created my website, coachnancychu.com, which is what this QR code is. That website was created when I was in Taiwan, when I
Mm.
was just hanging out with my family. And I was doing an experiment to see what would happen. And then I ended up getting 2 more clients when I was in Taiwan. So at this time,
Wow.
I had 3 clients. I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And then I came back, after my trip ended. It was March 1st. So basically, I was in Taiwan for 6 or 7 weeks. A very long trip. And I came back, it was March 1st. I was like, "Oh, okay, now it's time to look for a job." Because that's what we're conditioned to believe to be the right thing
Mhm.
to do. Like, of course, you got to look for a job.
Mhm.
So I started to look for a job, um, but the market is slow. I wasn't getting a lot of interviews, or I was getting interviews, but they were not the right level. They tried to down level me, etc. And that was just not exciting to be down leveled.
Mm.
And it gets into this whole other topic on like self-worth. Like I know
Mm.
I am worth more, but the market is not good. So should I like lower my bar even though I'm worth more? Like so it gets into this whole other topic. But it all relates to it all led up to this point where it just didn't feel good in my body to prepare for these job interviews. Part of it is because I know I could do the job, and yet you keep wanting to interview me like over and over and over with all these rounds of interviews, right?
Mhm.
it was it was really, it just didn't feel good versus
Mhm.
trying to get a client as a coach. I go into these discovery calls, they're interviewing me as their coach. That was energizing. And so
Mm.
in that moment, I was having yet another identity crisis. Am I a PM or am I a coach? So I go into these interview settings with a potential client that I'm selling myself as a coach versus interviewing for a job. And the selling as a coach just felt good, even though not a lot of people converted to pay
Mhm.
clients. But regardless of that, it still felt really good. So I
Yeah.
just kept doing more and more of the thing that felt good in my body and less of the thing that didn't feel good. So it wasn't a on and off switch for me in terms of
Mm.
whether I should be a, a full-time coach or not. It was a very gradual journey that I went on. And then, because I came back to the Bay Area on March 1st, I went on another trip in April. And this is because during COVID, I didn't travel at all, right? So the mentality that I had was, I'm just gonna travel. So in April, I went to Japan, and
Oh.
yeah, like so fun. It was so fun. So in Japan, um, one of the recruiters reached out and wanted to schedule another round of interviews. And this is a pretty good company, and I like the hiring manager. It's interesting work. Like it looked good on paper and everything.
Mm.
But it was that moment when I decided, if I have to prep for this interview for, let's say, if I put in 2 hours of prep, I would rather put that 2 hours toward growing my coaching business. I rather spend 2 hours prepping for a discovery call than 2 hours
Mm.
prepping for a PM interview. So in that
Mm.
moment, I wrote back and I said, I'm not going to continue the process. I'm going to focus on my business. So in April was when I decided to focus and be a full time coach.
Wow. So what I'm hearing is also it sounds like the feedback loops from the coaching discovery calls is also a lot faster than the multiple rounds of interviews.
Yeah. But I would say the success rate and the conversion um, is kind of similar. So I would say uh, only a percentage of people I talked to in the discovery calls actually had the intention of working with me. This was when I was offering free discovery calls and I
Mm.
wasn't qualifying any of the leads. And I was just
Oh.
taking calls left and right. And because I was new at this, so I didn't really like follow any of the best practices. I would just, sure, you want
Mhm.
to talk to me? Sure, let's talk. And then 90% of them had zero intention on working with me. They just wanted free
Yes.
advice.
Yes.
But that was good learning as well. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, I need to qualify leads. I
Yeah.
shouldn't just do all of these free discovery calls for the sake of doing free discovery calls. So then I started to work on improving my conversion.
Mm. So what do you do to
Yeah.
qualify leads now?
So what I do is I make it clear on my website the different things that I could do in our sessions, um, and including the cost. Originally, I didn't put the cost on my
Mhm.
website.
Yep.
I didn't want to scare people away. I wanted to build my upper funnel. So I just wanted to fill my funnel with as many leads as possible. That was like version number one.
Yep.
No pricing information. And then I would tell people the pricing at the end of the discovery call. And I could tell that most of them would be surprised. It's like, whoa, which I totally get. Like coaching is an investment. Coaching is not like McDonald's.
Yeah.
Coaching is premium
Yeah.
investment, right?
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I don't want to surprise people. That doesn't work for either one of us. I'm gonna make it known, but I also don't want to scare people. So what's like middle ground? So what I do now is I still have all the things available on my website. I
Mhm.
still have a link that says schedule discovery call. When you click on that button to schedule discovery call, it takes you to my booking page, which is a free call. I don't charge you for that. But on that page, on that scheduling page, I list my price.
Mm.
And I also list other FAQ that people have asked me in the past. And I just put all the information on that scheduling page.
Mhm.
And then when they hit the schedule button, there's a form that they have to fill out. So the form is, what's your LinkedIn, and do you understand that this is a investment? And if you're interested in group coaching, it's a 3-figure investment. If you're interested in private coaching, it's a 4-figure investment. Like, do you understand that? Like, they have to acknowledge that they understand it, and they have to acknowledge that this session is not a ask Nancy everything or anything. Like,
Mm.
it's not a ask me anything type of session. It's a discovery call
Mm.
for me to assess whether I could be your coach or not. So then
Mm.
I put steps in place to now qualify leads, and that has been working for me.
Very nice. Very nice. So you mentioned something about qualifying your leads with your
Mhm.
coachees. Other than their ability to pay, which I agree is very important, what else do you look for in an ideal client?
Well, I want people to also see it as investment. But this is me as PM coach talking. This is not
Mm.
me as like manifestation coach talking. So if I'm just a PM coach, I
Mm.
want you to be very serious in improving your PM craft because it takes time.
Mhm.
So that's what I look for. But
Mm.
with my newer identity, kind of pivoting toward manifestation type of coaching, I want you to also believe in laws of attraction. I need you to also believe that the reality is not like random. The reality is a reflection of us. Like, I need you to believe in it, otherwise it won't work.
Mm. Have you ever had to fire a client?
I did. So I met this one guy who wanted someone to fix his resume. And I said, I don't really do that. What I do is I give you feedback and I tell you what a good product manager looks like on paper.
Mm.
And you can incorporate that in your resume. So, what is a good product manager? It's someone who has defined the right product and then built it right with the team. That's a
Mhm.
good product manager. But there's so much there is to cover in these 2 sentences. What does defining the right product mean? And by the way, this definition is defined by Shreyas Doshi. I didn't come up with this definition. Um, but you have to look at what those words mean, defining the right product. Like, how do you know if it's right? Well, because it makes sense for the customer and also makes sense for the company. And how do you know it makes sense? Well, it's because they're using it or because we see business metrics go up. That's how we know that the product is right. And we're not just looking at short term, we're also looking at long term, right? That's how we know the product is right. And so I want to see that in your resume. I want to see that you understand that you define the right product and was built the right way. And so I could give you feedback on what I want to see on a resume, but I'm not going to fix it for you. I'm not a resume writer. That's not what I do. So
Mm.
for this particular discovery call, I referred him to other people that I know that actually fixes and writes resume for you.
So you just sent them out to somebody else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you ever find out whether they were successful in reframing their resume, fixing it?
Um, so I know that he ended up working with one of my uh, fellow coaches. on
Mhm.
resume. Um, I have kept in touch with this guy though, um, and he sent me his most recent version of the resume, and I said, "Are you sure? Like your other coach has reviewed this? Because I have a lot to say about it."
Mm.
And then he's like, "Okay, like let me run it by this other coach again." I was like, "Yeah, good."
All right. I'd love to ask you a bit more about your your personal life. You alluded to this and you mentioned, are you a mom?
Yes, I am a mom.
I'd love to learn more about that aspect of your life and how you
Okay.
like when how old is your child first off? How many
My
children do you
daughter,
have?
I only have one and done.
Okay.
I could talk about that too. Uh, she is 6.
Wow.
What do you want to know
And
about
how
it?
is it?
Oh, how is
How is having a 6-year-old?
oh well, I would say my favorite age is 4. At
Okay.
4 years of age, that's my favorite. Yeah, and that's because before 4, they can't communicate well. And when they can't communicate, they get frustrated because we don't understand them. But at
Mm,
age 4, they start to communicate more effectively and we can understand them. And that means they get their needs met more often than before. And they throw less tantrums because their needs are met.
mm,
Also, at the age of 4, they don't really have egos yet, and they
mhm,
also don't really have ulterior motives yet. At the age of 4, they're still very pure, um, and so they're like little angels at the age of 4. Also, at this time, they're potty trained,
mm,
and so there's no like diaper work, and then there's no like potty training accidents that happen at the age of 4. At the
mm,
age of 5, though, they start to grow. I guess their brain starts to get more mature, and when they when that happens, then they start to form a lot of their own opinions, and that's when you have to start negotiating with your kid, and then it's like less fun because they won't just say yes to everything. At the age Okay, so age 5 is
yeah,
kindergarten. So they start to have some schoolwork to do.
mhm,
But you don't have to be too serious about it because it's just kindergarten. And
yeah,
now at the age of 6, it's first grade. And now I feel like, oh, I have to start paying attention to her homework and to her reading. Like, is she reading
mm,
enough? So now we're starting to worry more about academics. And so that's like a new thing for me.
mm, and has that you mentioned, like, negotiation. I assume in your professional career, you've done quite a bit of negotiation. Has does that help? Or are you now a better negotiator because of your 5-year-old?
Oh, that's a great question. I I don't think I'm better because of it. I think I'm just not very good at it. Hmm. Food for thoughts.
What has what did your 5-year-old daughter get from you if you're not good at negotiating? Or
Oh,
where have
because
you
I
caved?
I could say no because I said so to a 5-year-old. Like I have that authority.
Yeah.
But at work, I can't really pull the authority card. I can't just say because I said so.
Oh, so you've used that card several times with your daughter?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Sometimes I would say, well, I mean, sometimes it's like, why do I have to keep my mouth closed when I chew? Like, why can't I chew with my mouth open? Like
Uh-huh.
that, that's a legit question. And I'm like, because it's manners. I'm like, but why? Like, great question. Like, I don't really know how to explain it, but just keep your mouth closed. Because I
Yeah.
said so.
Yeah.
Because it's good manners. Yeah. But at work, I can't really say that. Well, I guess sometimes at work, I could say, because this is what the company expects from us. Yeah. I have said that
Does
before.
Oh, you have? Oh,
Hmm.
okay. Yeah. Then there you go. You have used your corporate skills on your daughter.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's more about, I guess I can't say, do this because I said so. I have to like justify it.
Yeah, you have to assign it to a higher power. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
the CEO said, can't change that.
Well,
Okay.
but we can't always lean into that, because then you would be a manager who's not very effective. You're just
Hmm.
like a middle person, middle layer, just passing information back and forth. You don't add any value.
Yeah.
So we also can't say at work, oh, it's because like CEO said so. Like that's not a good reason. So you always have to explain things from the CEO's point of view. CEO thinks this way because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, then here's why we need to do it. Yeah,
Is your daughter still negotiating with you?
all the
Or
time, all the time. Yeah,
have
yeah.
you been more successful at explaining your POV? Because I'm sure like the topics get a little bit more mature as she ages.
Well, the mouth open thing happened yesterday.
I mean, that is a good question as to why she cannot keep her mouth open.
Yeah, why not? Well,
Yeah,
I said
why not?
it's really noisy. But why is that bad? I don't know. Like, why is that bad? It just doesn't
Yeah,
sound good. It doesn't look good. Like, no one wants to see your food inside your mouth. But why not?
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know how I would respond to that too if I had a 5-year-old to answer to. I would probably try to say something along the lines of that it increases the chances of your food flying out of your mouth. So we don't
But
want that.
why? No, but why is that bad? No, why not?
Oh
Like,
no,
why not?
because now your food and all that bacteria is all over the table. Makes it
Well,
messier for me to clean.
is that bad? Like, is it bad that you have more to clean?
Yeah, unless
Why?
they're going to clean. Like I'm like, whoever makes this mess gotta clean this. By default, it's me as mom, but like if you make this, you're cleaning it, and then they'll be like, yeah, I don't want to clean that mess. You're right.
Well,
Keep my mouth
sometimes
shut.
okay, so sometimes I would say because it's a lot of work for me and I get really tired.
Yeah, and that's a valid reason.
And so it makes them feel guilty. But that's not what I want either. Like I don't want them to feel this sense of guilt.
Oh
Oh, if
yeah,
I do this, then my mom gets too tired.
yeah.
I
But
don't
it is true.
know.
You do get tired.
Yeah, it is true. It's very
And even though
factual.
it may yeah, and even though, like, maybe it's not, like, guilt you want them to have, it's maybe just the appreciation that you are the primary
Mm,
caregiver, you know what I mean?
right,
So,
right. Yeah, yeah.
maybe this is my
But
Asianness talking too,
well,
so
I I have a lot of thoughts on this topic of guilt because I
yeah.
feel growing up there was so much guilt placed on me
Oh,
on everything. Like because we have to feel grateful.
yeah.
We have to yeah, we have to feel grateful for everything. So I went to an expensive school. It's private
Mhm.
school.
Mm.
I feel bad that my tuition was paid for by my family. That's guilt.
Mhm. Mhm.
My family says, well, that's because we're investing in you. And so we supported you to go to this expensive school. It's an
Mm,
investment. But that's guilt for me too. Now it's like, oh, what does that mean? Like now I have to go and make
mm,
money. Do I
yeah.
pay them back? Like what? I have not paid them back on
Hmm.
my education, but
Yeah.
it's something that I think about,
Yeah.
and that's guilt.
Y-
It feels to me that
Yeah.
that's guilt.
But you mentioned two different feelings. Do you think being grateful and guilt come hand in hand? Because
Oh,
like I feel like you can be grateful for somebody's contributions and not feel the guilt.
oh, I know where the guilt came from. It's
Mm,
because my family doesn't come from money.
mm,
And so it feels to me that their lives were made difficult so that I could go to this fancy school.
mm,
So that's guilt.
mm.
Yeah.
I see. And have you resolved that with your parents?
Um, not really, but I specifically remember my mom say, so I have a master's degree,
Hmm.
but I wasn't sure if I should get it at that
Hmm.
time. And my mom said, I would do whatever it takes for you to get that degree, even if
Mm,
I have to like give up everything. So that
mm,
is very typical, like Asian family mentality, I would say. There's a
hmm.
lot of sacrificing, like in the
Yeah.
way we were raised, etc. And that was probably quote unquote common in their generation. But now, like that makes me feel like guilt
Mm,
because can they live better lives if they didn't have to pay for my education? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But
mm,
now though, when I because I have my daughter now, I don't want to sacrifice that much. Like I don't want to say I will do whatever it takes so we could go to college. Cause now
mm,
now I want to say I'll do the best I can, but if I cannot, you're on your own. Like you could take on student loans and that's okay too.
mm. Are you going to send her through private school?
I will send her to the right school to the best of my abilities.
Well, what's the school options look like in Bay Area? Because I remember seeing something about there's a weird disparity there between like the public and private school system anyway.
Well, because we're in California, there's a lot. University of California,
Yeah.
it would be a great option for her. Um,
Mm.
yeah, that would be great if she could get into one of the UC schools.
Ah, okay.
Hmm.
Oh, interesting. And then I'm curious to know also with becoming a mother, where were you in your career when you became one? And did that cross your mind of entering this chapter with a professional career?
I I was I was a manager at that time. No way, was I? Yes, I was a manager. I was a people
Okay.
manager when I got pregnant.
Uh-huh.
And then I went on leave. And that was a scary time because what if, so at the time it was a 4 month maternity leave, and
Mhm.
I was worried that I would get replaced.
Mm.
Management did hire someone to take on some of my work, and
Mhm.
I was dead scared to be replaced. And I
Mm.
would then come back to not have what I had before. Super
Mm.
scared.
Mm.
But nothing bad happened. Yeah, nothing bad happened with my maternity leave. In fact, I
Oh,
got
very
promoted.
nice.
I got
Oh,
promoted
very
while I was
nice.
on leave. Yeah.
Okay, so I assume you had been working before. This wasn't a new role anyway.
I was on that team already. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I think I would say as much as possible, if there's a way to plan this, I do recommend that you are on that team before, and then
Yeah.
you take your leave and you come back to the same team, because
Yeah.
coming back to work as a new mom is essentially learning how to live and learning how to breathe all over again. Um, and so as much, and because in that, when you're a new mom, there'll be basically everything in your life is new. The way
Mm.
you live your life is completely different now, and the way
Mm.
you manage work, the way you manage home, the way
Mhm.
you manage your marriage, everything is new. So if you can remove one of the new parts and just keep it the same as before, that helps with your balance.
Mm.
So going back to the same team, at least I have a lot of the context. So I don't have
Mm.
to learn something new on top of learning all these new things all at the same time.
Yeah. And what was the most challenging part coming back?
It was the mom guilt that was the most challenging. And I remember this very clearly. Work just didn't feel important
Mm.
anymore at that point. I just wanted to be with my baby. And
Mm.
leaving baby is one of the hardest things that um, a mom has to go through, especially
Mhm.
at 4 months old. So
Mhm.
baby is a tiny baby, but
Yeah.
when baby is older, I think the mom would feel differently. But at 4 months old, leaving baby is really, really hard, and nothing trumps the importance of the baby. So
Yeah.
work might have felt really important before, but after having a baby, work just no longer felt important.
Yeah. I hear that a lot even with Canadians, and our mat leave on my standard is 1 year.
Wow.
And you still hear about mom guilt, so I can't imagine how hard it is to leave at, like, I think what's the US average? Like 6 weeks? If
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, 6
Yeah.
weeks. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm, like, 6 weeks, 3, 4 months. I'm like, "How do you do that?" The baby would still be are they still breastfeeding?
Yeah. I was
Yeah?
breastfeeding after she turned 1.
Wow. How
Yeah.
do
Oh,
you
that
breathe?
made it really hard too. Well, oh
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot about that. I had to
Yeah.
pump. I had to
Yeah.
pump when I was at work, and that by itself is a lot of work, because as a PM, we take a lot of meetings.
Mhm.
So that means I had to schedule my meetings around my pumping schedule, and I needed to pump twice when I was at work.
Uh-huh.
Um, but sometimes you can't schedule around it. Sometimes you have to take your meeting in the mother's room. And I remember and this was before COVID, so remote like VC wasn't really a thing back then.
Yeah.
Most of the meetings were in person.
Yeah.
If you're in that office, you're expected to have these meetings in person. And so
Mhm.
I remember so clearly one of the meetings I had to take, I couldn't
Mhm.
be in that room, even though
Yeah.
I was at work. And so I
Yeah.
said, sorry, I'm in the mother's room. It is what it is. And one of the guys said, ew. I know he didn't mean anything like terrible. It was just a very natural reaction. But that
Okay.
says a lot about the culture that we're in and how unfriendly it is to working moms.
Yeah. Very
Because
interesting. Did you
there's,
have any sort of support group?
um, no, well, probably, I don't know. I think if I
Yeah.
really looked for a support group, I could have found one. But in that moment, it was really just, I have to do what I have to do. which is I have to pump. Otherwise, my shirt would get wet because it would just leak. So I have to do what I have to do, which includes taking a meeting at the same time. So I just have to do it. I didn't really think too much about not doing it because I didn't have another way. So that was a requirement. And pumping is not a quiet activity. Like there's noise associated with the pumping machine. So there's also a lot of like basically you have to go on mute. And then have to make sure the camera is only like neck and above, right? Like there's all these little things that you have to pay attention to. So you have to be on mute. You have to be like neck and above. And then when you need to say something in the meeting, you have to unmute, but then there's like this pumping noise in the background. And so you have to like quickly unmute again. And then there's also the mechanics associated with pumping, which is there's a lot of parts that you have to clean up. Like you like detach everything from your body, and now there's milk. You have to put it in the fridge. But then like what? There's also the tubes that you need to use. Like you have to like clean everything up, so that the mom can use the other mom can use your seat after you're done. And so it's not just go in and then you're done and go out. There's like setup that you have to like set everything up. You have to sit and like attach the thing to your body. And then afterwards, you detach everything, like clean everything up, and then I put the milk away in the fridge. Don't forget to pick up your milk when you go home. Otherwise, your baby will have no food. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There's a lot.
And that person said ew?
And that person said ew.
How did it make you feel when he said that?
I brushed it off as ignorance.
Did you call him out on it?
But there's a reason. I think I laughed it off. I was like, oh, haha, ew, yeah.
And have you managed a mom, like a new mom, since that time?
I did. Yes. I managed someone who went on leave. Yes. And so I basically took on her work. So there was like a planned transition period.
Got it. And then when they came back, how'd you make it? Did you use any of your own experiences to make theirs better?
No, because I left the team before she came back. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Would you have?
Yeah, I would have. Yes, I would have, because I remember it was a tough time.
Do you think companies in general could be more empathetic towards mothers?
Well, I think companies in general can be empathetic toward any kinds of disability. And I do classify new working moms as some kind of disability. Or just like people would need additional accommodation. Maybe not disability, that's probably not the right word, but additional accommodation is definitely needed. So not just for working moms, but for anyone that needs additional accommodation.
And now I think we're in the last 4 minutes of this session.
That went by so quick.
That went by so quick. So I want to leave you with one question. I'm very curious to know whether you are able to envision yourself back into a product manager, director of product role with these newfound skills.
Wow. Well, my goal is to not really do that unless the product or the company is amazing.
So there's still a chance.
Yeah, because who knows what the future holds.
Yeah.
But I would say, uh, ever since coaching full time, I am learning so much more than when I was a PM. Because
Mm.
most of the job as a PM is not learning new skills. Most of it is just doing what we already know. I mean, that's
Mhm.
why we are
Yeah.
hired, because we know how to do the job. And so
Yep.
most of the job is doing what we already know. Like by definition, that is the expectation. But
Mm.
being a coach, because there's an element of really wanting to show up more than 100% for these people who trust me, for these people who hired me as their coach, because their mentality is, I really need help with this one area. Can you please help me transform? Or can you please help me get there? Can you please help me achieve the goals? Here, I'm paying you to help me. When
Mm.
someone is paying you, then there's a lot of the sense of responsibility
Mhm.
and the desire to really help, because like a PM, we measure our impact through product success metrics.
Mm.
That's how we're measured. As a coach, we're measured by how successful our mentees are. Of course, we can't guarantee success, just like in a PM work. We can't guarantee that a product is successful because there's so much outside of our control, like market condition, timing, etc., or
Mhm.
competition. We can't control all of that, but
Mhm.
we only hope that the product does well. Same thing with coaching. We only hope that the mentee um, achieves their goals. And
Mhm.
when they do achieve their goal and they write you a very nice testimonial, it's like, hallelujah. This is what I want. Like, this is what I need in life. So
Yeah.
the sense of fulfillment and the sense of satisfaction and just feeling really good about yourself is 100 times more than a
Mm.
PM job type of satisfaction.
Yeah. I am very curious to see how you transition to this new chapter of being a manifestation coach.
Me too. I'm also very curious because I don't really know how to transition yet. Brainstorming.
There's coaches that do that too.
I know. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Um, yeah. Every coach is unique.
Yeah.
They bring in their own perspective. Um, and so I need to figure out how to position it. I need to figure out the elevator pitch, like you asked. So next time, I will give you a more updated elevator pitch.
Yes, yes. If you ever want to connect with like a spiritual business coach, I've got a name. Yeah, she
Okay.
does business coaching, but very, very spiritually grounded. And I was like, wow, that's a very interesting blend that I didn't expect to see. But very,
Yeah.
very cool work that she does.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm also a tarot card reader. Just
Yeah,
throwing it
I mean,
out
yeah,
there.
I know coaches that do the whole like astrology reading. I'm like, wow, there's so many interesting niches you could get into with the coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yes. I love the woo woo stuff and I want to bring it to the tech world.
Yes. The tech world needs a little bit more woo woo. Just
More woo
yeah,
woo. Yes.
we need some more woo woo.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. I think we're
Thank
out of
you
time.
so much for this really interesting and dynamic interview.
Yeah, well, it's different. I could see somebody's been commenting, so that's
Oh,
really cool.
really? Oh. Oh, yes. And I was so into this conversation, I forgot to highlight the comments that were coming in. Very good combo. Thank you, Mr. Tupper44. Thank you so much. I forgot what I was talking about, but thank you. Oh, I'm curious what the PLC looks like from the manifesting soul perspective. Wait, what does PLC stand for?
I don't know.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Tupper44. I don't know what PLC stands for. But yeah, I could Google it and then I could answer this comment later.
Yeah. What is PLC?
I don't know. Okay, I don't know what this comment means. But thank you so much.
I think they were talking about your kid. It's like by the different ages, like where peekaboo stops working.
Oh, yeah, it stopped working. I would say ice cream still works. And it seems like ice cream is ageless.
Yes. Is your kid an iPad kid? No judgment
Totally.
if they are.
No, yeah. She is, but I have locked up her iPads. She had 2 iPads.
Oh wow.
Well, it's 2 because we had 2 iPads at home that were really old, like more than, I don't know, maybe 7-year-old iPads. And she just got her hands on both of them. So that's why she had 2 iPads, because we had 2 at home. But it was too much. She was too addicted to it, so I locked it up. Now she doesn't have access to it.
Does she just watch videos? Like what is her thing?
She loves YouTube. And she loves to draw on the iPads. But mainly YouTube, and mainly YouTube Shorts. And there's a lot of YouTube Shorts that are not appropriate for kids.
Yeah.
And
the age gating doesn't help?
Well,
wait.
I'm still confused about YouTube Kids, that app. I haven't fully understood how to use it yet. And also I haven't put in that much effort on like parental controls. My control is I'm just gonna take away your iPad, period. Like that's my parental control.
Yeah. Well, it's very effective.
Yes. So because I'm just not ready to dive into the world of parental controls on these tech devices. So now it's like you either watch TV when I say you can, and you can't watch YouTube on TV either. You can only watch Disney, and that's it. Or Netflix Kids. Like these 2 apps are okay, but you can't watch YouTube. But TV time is when I say so. And then iPad is locked up somewhere else.
Well, there's definitely no guilt, but maybe there's resentment.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it's okay.
But we're okay with that.
I will trade parental control with some resentment. Right now, at the age of 6.
Yeah. This is gonna be like a future therapist. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. She might go into her therapy session be like really damaged as a result of this.
And then they find out it's because of this interview that we're televised. Yeah.
Well, no, but the intent is I don't know how to operate YouTube. That's why I decided to just take away the iPad, because I don't know how to operate YouTube.
I hope she finds this video when she's old enough and be like, that's why.
Yeah, no, she knows. She said, what if I just don't use YouTube? And I trusted her for a little bit. And then I found out that she's been watching YouTube, even when I said she can't use it. And even when she agreed to not use YouTube, she was still using it. And so I just took away
your boundaries.
Yes. Yes. 4-year-olds don't really do that much.
Aren't you excited to see how she's gonna age?
Well, I feel like she's gonna be a very troublesome teenager already. Like I could already see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a lot of anxiousness associated with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you to see you go through the different ages.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Really love the session. This was really
Me
fun.
too. That was so fun because
Yeah.
usually I'm the one interviewing my guests. So it's
Yeah.
been really good to not have to think about the next question.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if we
Yay.
ever want to do any of these things again, let me know. Always
Yeah,
happy.
I do because I really like the way we call this series the Product Managers Unplugged.
Yes.
I want to just keep this title and just
Yes.
keep on doing it.
Yes. And I think there are so many interesting stories out there for you to feature.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, thank you so
Okay.
much for your time. So, is the session finished? I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah, now it is.
Thank you so much, Catherine.
Okay.
Until
All
next
right.
time.
Bye.
Bye.